listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners and viewers, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kristin, and with me today are Christos and Kelvin. Patrons, remember, you can now watch All Good Things if you prefer consuming our show visually as an extended edit of this very episode. Good morning, boys. Christos, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm alive and well. I woke up with a little shaky this morning, but a strong protein shake and coffee and 2 ibuprofen have put me back to my normal self and ready to go. And a little bit of DS9 therapy in preparation for our episode today.
DS9 therapy is the only thing I think getting me through these last 2 weeks before vacation. So I completely understand that. And are you shaky in a good way, Wink?
Oh, I'm 100 now. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. And Kelvin, how are things across the pond this morning?
Across the pond, they are lovely, thank you very much. Continuing the medical theme, I've had really bad food poisoning this week. And considering my job is a food health inspector, it's quite ironic when these things happen to me. And to make it worse, I've done it to myself.
Oh, no.
So I'm only... I was... You know, Christos, this is you're going to love this because it'll be a big "I told you so" moment. But I mishandled the meat, and I was touching some raw meat, and I don't think I washed my hands properly, and so I've made myself ill. So it's only in the last 24 hours I've been feeling human.
Are we talking about a meal or recreational behaviors?
Yeah. Oh no, I never mishandle that meat. It was beef burgers I was putting out.
See?
Oh.
I can tell you, I've been vegan for 5.5 years, and I have not had any sort of food poisonings or anything like that, guys. So.
Yeah, Beyond Burgers don't tend to cause those effects, do they?
No, but did you lose a few pounds ahead of vacation?
I did.
Yes.
How
it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it.
You were looking snatched online, I can tell you.
Not a diet I'd recommend, but when you look in the mirror and you see for the first time in your life you've got a six-pack, it's like, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, as long as, you got to find something good about it. So
yeah, every cloud has a outline of 6 things.
Yeah.
I love how much we're all like on this workout trend to get ready to look our best for this upcoming trip we all have, but yet in others' eyes, y'all are all perfect and we're our own worst critics.
Yeah, I will say my personal trainer kicked my ass Friday. I hit some lifting records for myself, so I was very proud of that. And I'm getting really good with balance and core. I'm doing these squats and lifts where you've got one leg up on a bar, so you're really lifting, you're holding your whole body steady with one leg while lifting weights. And I'm not the most, agile person. So this has been a struggle for me, but I'm getting better at it. So I was kind of stoked about that. How was our hostess with the mostest this week?
She's good. She's good. She's doing what she can to get through to vacation. So I have my next 2 weeks, I'm lucky where I'm enacting some of my flex time from work. So my last 2 weeks of work before vacation are only 4-day weeks. So I officially only have 8 working days until I'm off work. And I cannot wait. Don't get me wrong. I love my job. I love what I do. I love the majority of the people with whom I work. But there's just been a lot of crises hitting the fan lately. And working in the organization I do, when crises hit, we have to respond. And some of them have been really bad. So the amount of work has just been overwhelming and an emotional toll. So all I need to do is sit on a beach with you two and drink a copious amounts of mojitos. That's all.
Yeah.
All I need.
Doctor's orders.
Yeah.
Whether it's the best job in the world or whatever, PTO exists for a reason, and we have to take our time away. So that's what you're ready for.
Exactly. But while we're still here, the one thing I get to look forward to is randomly stumbling across Star Trek in our daily lives. So let's move on to our new segment of Trek in the strangest places. So Kelvin, where has Trek found you this week?
Well, today, day of recording, 15th of June, is James's birthday. So we've been, we've not, he has. He's been opening all of his birthday presents this morning. So happy birthday, James, first of all. And it's really funny. Loads of people have got him the same presents. So we always joke that we're very easy to buy for. You just buy something Star Trek, but it's also we're the worst because chances are we've already got it. Yeah. So there's some glassware sets, these like tumblers for beer. And I think he's got 4 sets of them from different friends and family members today. So it was kind of the Trek in the strangest of places was inside of the wrapping paper for us this week. So we were just laughing this morning as we were going through it, thinking all of these friends and family were like, oh, this is amazing. He'll love this. Well, we do, because we've now got about 8 or 10 of matching glassware. So yeah, that's my one for the week. So happy birthday, James.
Happy birthday, James.
Happy
there was
birthday,
one year,
James.
I think I got 3 sets of Golden Girls wine glasses. And they were sets of 4, one for each of the ladies. So I had
to have backups in case.
Well, I regifted a few of those myself.
I have received the Star Trek tarot deck several times.
Yeah, that's got you all over it.
Yeah, when it's my 2 favorite things in the world collide, people are like, "Oh, we'll just buy this." I'm like, "Yep, you and a few other people." That's not something you need several of, but anyway.
Yeah.
Christos, how about you? Where's Trek found you this week?
Well, I'm going to parlay off my shirt today, and it's going to be somewhat of a little bit of a Star Wars reference, only because, first off, I will say I'm very proud of my country yesterday for like 11 million people coming out to celebrate our No King's Day to the less than 10,000 people that supported our dictator would-be. And with that, I saw so many signs yesterday that said, I have friends everywhere, which is a direct quote from Andor. It's how they would speak in code to each other in the rebellion. That's how you knew somebody was safe. And I saw so many Star Wars references in signs that said, I have friends everywhere, because Andor season 2 especially is such an allegory for what's happening in the world, or especially in this country right now. So little bit of Trek adjacent. That's why I wore my little blended shirt. But I was like, that made me smile really big when I saw the signs. So,
for the benefit of anyone who's not watching on Patreon, it's the Star Wars traditional font that Christos is wearing, but it says Star Trek. So very triggering to a lot of people, that I'm sure.
I love it.
Thank you, Mitch.
My favorite poster is the one where it says, what does it say? Oh, gosh.
Is it like 4 different franchises?
Yeah, because it's like,
and it says something about R2-D2 and
Battlestar Galactica's in it, I think.
It's a picture of Picard, so Patrick Stewart, but it's a Star Wars quote, but then it says it's quoted by Gandalf.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that is so funny. It's like how to make 4 franchises angry in one photo. And it's like, people could just relax. It's just a joke.
We love them all.
We do. So for me, so I'm getting ready after we do Stitches. Justin and I are heading around other parts of Europe and the UK. So we will be wrapping up our trip in Scotland and Edinburgh for the last few days. So I have been rewatching Outlander to kind of get myself in that Scottish mood. And it just hit me that Ira Stephen Bear did a lot of writing credits in season 1 and 2 of the show. And I found that really funny because the some of the darkest episodes of Outlander were written by him. And I'm like, that tracks. Because he's an edgy guy, and he loves to make things kind of dark. And I was like, yeah, that he's consistent, if nothing else. So when I saw his name pop up on screen, I had a little chuckle to myself.
Brilliant. Before we move on to the topic at hand, can I just put out there, we've been having quite a lot of good engagement online on the socials about previous episodes, which is a rare treat. So I noticed our beta canon series from last week got quite a lot of chat on Discord and on the BQN Facebook group. So we're glad that people seem to enjoy that, and we'll bring more. Not too many. We don't want to tread on the toes of Peter and Trek Book Club too much, but once in a while, when we all get passionate about a book, we'll cover it, but not too often, because it's not as easy to review as an episode is when you have to spend hours and hours and hours catching it. So we're glad.
Believe Amy got called out on the David Mack thing.
Yeah.
I literally listened to her do it, but she was on such a train of thought, I didn't want to just interrupt her. And I didn't hear the second time. I only heard the one time, but it was like, oh man, we have some listeners that are paying attention. So kudos.
Yeah, so thanks, guys. I also have another one from when we did Penance, our alternate realities episode a few weeks ago. A guy called James Draper, never heard of him, said that we made a bit of a continuity error when we were talking about Annie Wershing's The Borg Queen's contact lenses being completely black. I can't remember which of the three of us was mentioning this, but it was probably me if I got called out on it. Apparently, they were not contact lenses because of COVID restrictions. The makeup people weren't allowed to go near. So it was all done in post-production in CGI.
Oh.
So there you go. Thank you, James.
Very good.
Yeah.
Always watching out for us.
I
like that we get that is such a Star Trek fan thing. You know what I mean? Like most people would just let that slide. No, a Star Trek fan is going to correct you.
It's absolutely.
And it's usually me.
It was, you took the words out of my mouth. I can't tell you how many times I've said something wrong, and I was like, no.
Actually, who is it? It's Oscar from The Office that does that a lot. And then there's a whole episode where he gets called out because he's always the one correcting people. And they're like, oh, here's Oscar and his actually. So today we are talking about Fear Factor Part 6. And we will be looking at Deep Space Nine's Empok Nor. So while setting components from... Ooh, did that deserve an oh my? I'll take it. While salvaging components from DS9's sister station Empok Nor, the crew run afoul of a surprise of 2 Cardassians in stasis tubes and a drug that turns Garak into a killer. Ooh. See, I think the oh my would have fit better there.
Oh my.
Thank you. So, something just really kind of stood out with this episode, and it brought me to a few other episodes and some questions about Trek that I have always had. So, I want to talk about, for this, the use of the insanity plea, or I was not in my right state of mind, that Trek uses. Or as I like to call it, the time Garak straight up killed someone and was back in his shop the next week. So yes.
I was watching this morning thinking the exact same thing.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, yes. At the end, they clearly say that there will be an inquiry, and Dr. Bashir is going to testify that, of course, Garak was under the influence of a drug that he did not knowingly ingest. Yeah. So how do we see these similar situations play out in real life? So I know a lot of times we see this when big events hit the news, and there's always he needs to get assessed for mental capacity, diminished capacity, all of that. And so it's a legal strategy where the defendant argues and demonstrates that their mental state at the time of the offense prevented them from understanding the nature of their actions or knowing that they were wrong. So they need to demonstrate that they had this diminished capacity at the time of the crime. The defendant still has to admit that they did the action, but that they are not culpable based on their mental state. In the world of law, there are two components that must be met to find one guilty, and that's actus rea and mens rea. So actus rea, of course, is the physical action, but if the mens rea, i.e. the capacity of knowing what you're doing, is not there.
The guilty mind.
Exactly. So, however, even when somebody is found not guilty by reason of diminished capacity, they still go somewhere and receive some degree of rehabilitation.
Well, yeah, maybe our non-existent counselor on DS9 that we just don't know at this point, did that. But this is a little bit like, this one for me is a little different than someone just having a mental break or a psychotic problem. This is just like somebody took a psychotropic drug, which could easily happen here, all these recreational drugs and other drugs, and he did something, that was, like I said, he wasn't in charge of himself. He was under the influence of this drug. And to your point, he did not take it intentionally. So it wasn't like he chose to take a recreational drug and things got out of hand, or he got drunk and things got out of hand, or like a manslaughter thing with a drunk driving. There's all these other ways you can kill somebody unintentionally. He was not in control of himself. So it's a little more cut and dry. In fact, if this hadn't been a Federation Starfleet person that he killed, it would have been no big deal. Like, remember, it's no big deal that he killed the Cardassians. It's a big deal that he killed the Federation engineer, but not like I was having like throwbacks to thinking of like when Worf killed Doris in cold blood, and he wasn't even under the influence of anything, but it wasn't a Federation citizen. So, Picard sweeps it under the rug. Worf has done worse.
Worf has done worse. And that's the thing, is when you're in a different culture, they saw that as honorable. It would have been dishonorable if Worf hadn't done that. But I just find it interesting that the actual use of the insanity plea in real life is not as successful as people may think it is. It actually, more times than not, it does not work out. But in Trek, we seem to see this happen a lot. So I just brought up a few examples from my recent memories of my rewatch about a few times where people did stuff and they just kind of moved on rather quickly. I don't know. So the first one, Data in Brothers. He hijacks the Enterprise. The young boy almost died. But he was taken over by... Yeah. Whoa. Shots fired. But he was taken over by Soon's programming. So yeah. I think my point here is we never really see any of the repercussions of anything, be it whatever it might be. I know for Data that's going to be different, but
you were spot on, and it was a problem with 80s and 90s Trek, especially, to kind of have that reset button at the end of and even though at this point DS9 was highly serialized, there was a quick effort to wrap this up. And the other way they wrapped it up, I don't think you didn't touch on this, other than Julian saying there's going to be an inquiry or an inquest or whatnot, was Garak showing remorse toward the wife of the guy he killed? Yeah. That was, they made sure that they got that in there, that they showed remorse on Garak's part, I think, to try to get the audience back on board with him as a character. But to your point, after next week we come back and it's that never happened.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the Worf and Duras thing, Christos, because I was trying to think of other examples of where the main cast have killed someone. Now, I know in a lot of combat situations, there's loads of people get killed. And obviously, if we don't talk about Tuvix, that's a completely different argument altogether. But the actual main cast killing someone. The only other one I could think of was Kess in Warlord, where she kills the transporter chief, phases him, and he dies when she's taken over by Tyrion. So, alien abduction, possession, that's almost your insanity card. But with Garak as well, Garak's killed a lot of people. He killed the guy from the Obsidian Order in Second Skin, where he shoots him and says, "Oh, I rather liked him. That was a shame." And then he kills Gratham Tolar very cold-bloodedly in, oh God, the episode title's gone, in The Pale Moonlight. But I was thinking, you just don't see... You don't see the characters murder someone. And I'm thinking, does Garak get away with it because he's a secondary character, or because he's Garak with this dark past, or is it because he's a Cardassian?
Oh, I think all of the above.
Imagine if this was Chief O'Brien, if this was someone else, people would be talking about it today like people talk about Janeway killing Tuvix.
Yeah.
People have completely forgiven. There's been no comeback on Garak for the effects of this episode.
Well, I'd like to go out. I'm not going to go out on a limb, but you're right. I think I agree with everything you said. All of those are reasons why Garak is forgiven. He's also, an edgy character who was a little more outside the norm than your typical 90s character. Garak was not, if you want to put this in, I'm going to put this he's like a gray Jedi, right? He's not a Sith. He's not good. He's gray, and he's more pragmatic than anything, right? Whatever needs to get done, just like in the Pale Moonlight, he kills that senator. One life, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That one senator needed to go in order to potentially save millions and millions and millions of people. Garak is pragmatic, and I think his Obsidian Order training and whatnot all lead him to that. He has no problem cutting through that. It's war. In fact, you hear him talk to O'Brien a lot about that, being in war and being a strategist. And sometimes war is messy and ugly. And Garak is not afraid to do that. And it's probably one of the reasons why he's such a popular character, because I think life is very gray. And we all know that sometimes that no one is completely good and nobody is completely bad. And Garak is a good example of that.
Yeah, I agree. I also am always just surprised, though, how, I don't know, maybe it's a better understanding that the future population or something within the Federation happens where people are informed more about mental health, about this idea of not always being in your right state of mind, and that it actually can greatly affect your life. And so their ability to move on and forgive and I guess forget in a way is very real. So for example, again, she didn't die, but Data stabs Troy.
I was thinking of that example. Yeah, great.
And she shows up and she bakes him a cake for it. So, that was also kind of so is this just a real maturity that the future populations have, where we understand things like mental health and addictions, how they affect us, and they're able to respond with more maturity as well? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, if you think about Data, let's go down that road for a few minutes. Data has done enough things on TNG alone to justify the synth ban. Stealing the ship, being taken, how easy he is to be hijacked, and the way Laura hijacks him, the way other people hijack him.
The liability.
Actually, by the time season 7 comes along, and the Phantasms is a really good example of it, I feel like it had been done before. It's over. It's like the data gone rogue, Data gone bad, Data, it's, an insurrection. It happens too, at least it was happening in a good way for a good reason, but still he's, he became very black and white in that movie. I was that episode. That was a Freudian slip. But yeah, I mean, Data did enough things, whether it was by his own doing or not, to justify that you could have taken a measure of a man and just kind of turned him off. Like, I feel like, Data did enough to justify his own dismantling, but it never happened, to your point, Kristin. So
I've thought of another example of kind of, if you like, cold-blooded killing in DS9 is Jadzia in Blood Oath when they're going for the albino, and she talks to Kira about, have you killed someone? And it's the mens rea, as you say, Kristin, the lead up, I'm going to commit murder. I'm going on a mission to kill someone. And she couldn't do it in the end. And imagine if she did. Imagine what that would have done to the character of Jadzia. Mm-hmm. It's. I think the method as well is quite interesting for this. The stab wound using that engineering instrument, which is actually what reminded me of the data in the turbo lift that you just said. It's just so cold, and it's the way Garak, in his normal delivery of his lines, almost uses humor by saying it isn't that instrument; it's actually this one.
Yeah,
it's cold.
It is.
I forgot about the impact of that moment too, because you see him kill the Kardashian, and then you see him put his phaser back in his holster and kind of watch him relax a little bit. And he approaches the guy, and they makes a little bit of joke about it being the wrong instrument, like you said, and then he stabs him, and you're like, "Whoa!" And there was a lot of foreshadowing of that with O'Brien and whatnot. But yeah, it was just like, "Whoa, here we go!" Like, this is, because you think, okay, both Kardashians are dead. We got 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
But that's the ultimate where we go next with the story. But yeah, it's a little jarring. It's like you didn't see it coming. Like, to your point, it's when a main character, I consider Garak a main character, but when he commits murder, you're just like, okay, here we are. This is DS9.
And let's also look at the method of killing, right? When you talk about something like stabbing or a physical combat that leads to someone's ultimate demise. I mean, what is that book? All's Quiet on the Western Front. And they talk about it. It actually really does discuss how much more impactful that type of action is as opposed to an anonymous event from far away, right? So like blowing up a ship, for example, that's not as personal as stabbing someone in the shadows. So there's also, I think maybe they did that to touch on the fact that this was such a very cold-blooded action. But yeah, Garak was, and again, like he's my favorite character across Trek, period, because of his complexities. But nonetheless, yeah, he murdered a guy. And then also, I just want to really quickly pull into Genesis, and I know that is some people love that episode, some people hate that episode. I love it, but somebody killed Ensign Dern.
Was he the hot one at Con?
The hot one at the front, and he had the big like gash marks across his chest. So most likely, I'm assuming Worf. Nothing's ever Worf. Said. Nothing's ever said about it.
I mean, talk about being out of your own mind and body. People were like genetically not even themselves. I mean, it's all Barclay and Crusher's fault.
Oh, poor Beverly. She got enough to cope with in that episode.
I know. Look what Worf did to her, man. That's why Beverly still looks good in the future. She had all that reconstructive surgery in 2370.
It gets a lot better in the future, so that's good to know.
I don't believe Garak would have left that guy alive. He needed to survive to tell O'Brien and Nog that it was Garak. So, but I don't think Garak would have left him alive.
No.
I think that's a little bit of a plot hole.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. He would have, someone with his level of skill and experience and history, no way. No way.
Especially for the guy to just say, it was Garak, and then he dies right there. Like, he held on long enough just to,
just to utter those few little words.
Yeah, I'm jumping ahead to regeneration there. But yeah, that took me out of it a little bit. I get it. Story needed it to happen, but.
And then also, I find it so funny when people die, they all just go like, no, that's that's way too dramatic for what it looks like. So talking about the complexities of Garak kind of really moves into another trope that I saw in this episode that I always found very interesting, and it was the beware the nice ones trope, where you see somebody and first impressions are not always right, and how they appear in their daily lives is not who they truly are. So I found that idea really applied here, and I love that. I love it when you see somebody and when push comes to shove, they do what needs to be done to protect those that they care about, etc. So what do we think of this trope in TV and films? What are your experiences seeing this type of the nice guy takes on a different facade to do what needs to be done?
I think this is exactly what I was talking about earlier with the Gray Jedi. I mean, sometimes you got to do what it takes, right? And we make these big moral dilemmas in Star Trek. Like we'll use Hell Moon Light as that example again. You know, Cisco has to do something morally wrong, but it's for the greater good. You know, I mean, probably, you know, if they hadn't succeeded in bringing the Romulans in the Dominion War, they probably would have lost, right? So, like, the ends justify the means, I guess, is that old trope of, do two wrongs make a right, or I don't know. But it's like, for me, gray is a fact of life, and I think very relatable. I think it's very relatable to the audience, and that's why audiences forgive those types of when our heroes do things that may be morally out of, context for them or whatnot, is because we as humans understand that sometimes you just got to do what's got to be done. And I'm not justifying murder or anything, folks, but at the same time, I think we get it. Kelvin, what do you think about that?
I mean, I often think about a lot of these examples. I go into work mode and how many times you have to make a really difficult call at work for the greater good. That might be making an entire department redundant, or it might be firing someone. Something as basic for me when I'm doing an health and safety audit, I might have to fail somebody because they've not demonstrated compliance. And, I've had names called at me, called like the smiling assassin, because I'm so jolly about how I go about my business and do a debrief at the end of the audit, and I kind of deliver it like Simon Cowell. So, well, there was some good part. I mean, you have failed, but, you've lost your 60 grand bonus for the year. Sorry about that. But that's kind of as a and I always say to people, I've not failed you today. You failed yourself through your own performance. So you've done it to yourself. I've not done it to you. But when English. I know. Well, here we are. The British villain strikes again. When you think of something a little bit more serious like murder, isn't that just the hallmark of either really entertaining storytelling of Watch the Quiet Ones, or it's the one you least expect?
Yeah.
Think of Norvo, Esri's brother in Prodigal Daughter. He was the one who killed Marika Bilby. Yeah. There's a lot of examples of, if we went on our, what's our new series, Christos, the Whodunit one?
Yes, the Murder, She Wrote, or
Murder, She Wrote series. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's the twist at the end. Who's done it? Is it who you expect? Is it who it's not? So it's great storytelling for a start, but psychologically, if you think of people who don't have this sense of consequence, of psychopaths, might find it just easier to make a calculated choice to either further their own agenda or to remove a problem in a very extreme way through murder. And it is, in this Fear Factor series, it's very scary because it's very real that people are out there who will make those decisions.
And we don't know when they're going to make those decisions. We don't know when the situation and their immediate environment is going to just be that right temperature to set them off. And I think that's one reason why I love how Garak is written as a character, because they literally picked the most unassuming job for him as a tailor, right? Like, you wouldn't ever think that he would be necessarily a threat. He's very
well, he's a good gay. I mean, he can cut a bitch and sew something.
Right? Like, let's get him on Drag Race immediately. But I think it's interesting how one's history, one's past traumas, one's lived experiences can come to the surface and cause the nice guy to be not nice. And
yeah, we can all get triggered.
Yeah.
But look at this through the Star Trek lens of Alien.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about Data. Data's been hacked. He's now evil. You talk about the Doctor. The Doctor's program has been corrupted. He's capable of evil. Alien possession on people. They can do something evil. When it's just a human who makes a choice to do something without the sci-fi connection, that's the terrifying bit.
Mm-hmm. So who is a human that's been on track that was this sort of beware the nice guy? Is there anything that comes to your mind?
I feel like she's got an example already. You can tell by that look on her face.
I mean, you mentioned Janeway and Tuvix. You know, she was completely in her right mind. She's weighed up a decision. She decided he's got to go because I want Tuvok and Neelix back. It's the most controversial decision in Janeway's legacy. Mm-hmm. As you could even argue the Admiral Dougherty in Insurrection. He decided to forcibly remove the Baku and even agreed that Ruafo could pursue the Enterprise and blow them up. So he's a human. He made the decision in work mode for the greater good of that technology.
What's our Admiral in Pegasus? Is it Preston?
Pressman, yeah.
Preston, yeah. I mean, he's, we all had these bad roles, like breaking the rules, but for the greater good.
Yeah. And then sometimes the greater good is just themselves.
Exactly.
You could also we haven't even talked about like Michael Burnham, right? Like, when she takes out what's her face? Oh my God, Michelle Yeoh. Giorgio, yeah. When she takes her out in the pilot for Discovery and the other things that she does, she's always, using that Vulcan logic to do what needs to be done, but maybe it's not always the legal thing to do or the right way to do something, but the ends justify the means very much character. And, it makes her very controversial too. So let's talk about Burnham, man.
Definitely. And I think another one for me that really always said it was Khan in the original Space Seed, right? When they first thaw him out or whatever, and he's this beautiful prince who is so well-spoken and unassuming, and then they did not expect what to happen, and he completely turned, and it was very much, do not trust the nice guy, and they did, and we saw how that turned out. I almost call it like the John Wick syndrome, right? You don't know who you're messing with, and you don't know what they're fully capable of and what they can do when push comes to shove. So these are the nice ones.
But you could almost argue you don't know what any of us are capable of until we are put into a certain situation. I think you mentioned earlier about, I think it was you, Christos, when you said about doing what needs to be done to protect your family. If a burglar was breaking into your house, would you pull out a gun and shoot them and kill them? And I think this is one of the big differences between UK and America, because obviously we don't have guns, so we find it completely weird that someone would just take out a gun and shoot someone. We have a terrible knife problem, but we don't have guns. And if someone was breaking into my house, I don't think I could kill them. I'd hit them across the head with a baseball bat and hope they just passed out and we're fine later. But that's not a killing weapon. That's just something I'd have to hand to hopefully stop a situation.
Yeah.
So that's something I struggle with. If push came to shove, could I kill someone? If my life depended on it, or a family member, a loved one, whatever, what would my flight or fight response be?
You would
probably, yeah.
I know you. I know. I say that for you. I know you well enough. You would do what it takes.
Interesting. Please don't set on burglars on me.
I actually have a really interesting story that Justin shared with me, and it was about when he played hockey. The hockey culture in Canada, especially in younger guys, can be pretty toxic, right? It's this machoism, this what is now known as alpha male, where they really try to front or whatever. And it can also be a pretty racist environment as well, because it's a very white game. And when Justin was playing on the national team here a few years ago, 20 years ago, love you. He was in the change room, and I guess some guy kept picking on one of the black players on the team and would not let it go, and was being so Justin was like, hey man, this isn't the time, this isn't the place, that's not cool, like what are you doing? And I guess it just escalated to a point where next thing Justin knew, he was on top of the guy. The guy was hella bloody. And what did he break? He broke his orbital bone and something else. And when you know Justin and you talk to him and you're like, what? But it's very much just like the switch flipped in him. And it was his moral code just sort of like, I have a problem with this. And he ended up not being in trouble for the actions, because everybody else came in and was like, no, it was a bad situation, and if Justin did what needed to be done. So,
and I feel like there comes that like logic of boys will be boys, and sometimes that's how you're supposed to settle things, Yeah, right. Like they worked it out the way men do.
I always I always think about what would happen if someone broke into my house, and all I could think of is the news headline the day after would be home occupant fends off would-be intruder with batleth.
I always thought you were going to say witchcraft, but that.
I've now got 2 batleth pizza cutters, so maybe I could dispatch a burglar.
No, but I've got my metal batleth that's actually it's sharp. It is a sharp little thing. And if someone came in here, I would just start swinging. Start swinging that. But no, again though, that idea of the nice guy, but beware the nice ones, because you never know when they reach their limits. So very interesting. Let's jump into some assimilations and regenerations of the episode. So Christos, what did you like about this episode?
I'm going to give you one that's both an assimilation and a regeneration all at the same time. I like when they just get in that runabout to leave, and suddenly there's like 4 engineers that we didn't know before, and they have names, and you're like, oh. And at first I had a very lower decks type feeling, like, oh, these are all like, the lower deckers. And then I kind of remembered, oh, they're all going to die.
Yeah.
There are red shirts of the episode, which is a little tropey, but at the same time, so I got this like tropey red shirts vibe, and I got a lower decks vibe all at the same time, and I got really happy about that. And like I said, and it was like, oh, you're gonna die.
And further to that, when they split them up into teams, and he's like, you 2 randos are in team 1, you 2 randos are in team 2, and then the 3 main characters are in team 3. I'm like, I guess we know what's happening here.
Yeah, horror movie trope. Never split up.
Never split up. And never be on a team that doesn't have one of the main characters on it, if you are a side character.
You are dead.
You in danger, girl. You in danger.
Molly, you in danger.
Kelvin, how about you? What are some assimilations?
We were talking earlier about the reset of older Trek. Everything will be fine in the next episode. But there were some after effects of this episode with Nog and Garak's relationship. How Nog didn't trust Garak because of the events of this episode. So it was in Rocks and Shoals, I think, the season 6 opening arc. And when they're both taken hostage by the Jem'Hadar, and Nog wouldn't walk in front of Garak. He didn't want to have his back to him in case he went psycho again and killed him. So I think that was a lovely callback to this episode, which you don't get a lot of in Star Trek. So I thought, well done for the continuity of it. It was a nice bit of backstory to link to supporting characters. Yep. The beauty of DS9, even having backstory for the supporting cast.
And see, that's what I think my issue was in some of the other situations where it just resets the next. I was like, I would love to have seen something where, at some point maybe Troy made a callback to Data. I was like, oh, don't, remember that time you stabbed me? Like, just something to demonstrate that they don't just completely ignore all actions and move forward. Yeah. So I think my major assimilation, other than the fact that this is just a Garak-centric episode, because those are always going to be my number one reason to love anything. This really shows that O'Brien is a good leader. And he saw that in how he worked with and delegated the tasks. I mean, even though he split up the teams and doomed them all to their demise. Over and above that, he obviously had this very strong knowledge and skill in just being a leader. And we really see that in this episode as well, very much so in the relationship that he and Nog had, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
That little funny opener.
Yeah, when he comes on the runabout and kind of like is sort of like inviting himself onto the mission and hoping that it's going to be okay. I kind of get a little bit of the like Star Trek II Savick vibe of wanting to go down to, on the mission and kind of making up her own rules to try to justify it. But I love when O'Brien says, you earned it. So like, it is like, you did earn it. And it's kind of pointing that out.
No, I totally agree. And I love the callback to the Savick thing because that's so funny. It's like, there's no such rule. You wanna and then what about regenerations? Christos, what other than your
Garak should have killed the guy?
Well, no,
all the way.
I was gonna say, other than your one where you're like, this is kind of both. Do you have a regeneration that you just don't like about this episode?
What I will say about it is I feel like it's a little rushed. A lot happens in 45 minutes, including credits and whatnot. And, getting us to the station and So, I mean, I don't want to say this could have been a two-parter, but maybe if they had introduced another storyline with it, it could have been. Like, it's, I know
there was no B story, was there?
Yeah, really. Yeah. In fact, I think you don't really see Kira and Jadzia and barely see Cisco. I mean, it's just off the station. Yeah, I mean, you do see them go to Quark's in the beginning of the episode, but like most of the main cast had the week off, man.
Yep.
Or at least maybe had one day of shooting. So yeah, I think this could have been, if you would have fleshed out a B plot to this, maybe even on the station, not on DS9, but on Empok Nor, it could have been a little bit more to it. I feel like the episode goes a little fast and it's a little rushed.
DS9 loved its multi-parters too. They did a lot of those. Yeah. And now the continuation, and now the conclusion. And when she said the continuation, you're like, yes, there's more to come. Let's go. There's 3 parts at least now. So, yeah. Kelvin, how about you? What did you maybe not love?
Not that I didn't love it, but I'm going to regenerate it just because of the harshness of it, even for Cardassians. I think to have a job role that you are assigned to be put in stasis to basically be a booby trap should someone come onto our abandoned station, colony, ship. Imagine if that duty was handed to you. That's your assignment now. And I just think, Cardassians are pretty hardcore, but that is really out there. And I just thought, I don't know if I'm here for that. I don't think it makes a huge amount of sense. Even Cardassians are redeemable.
Yeah. So, Kelvin, don't you think like it would have made more sense? Like, wouldn't they just self-destructed the station if they were abandoning it?
Yeah. It just seemed
like
it was such it was a mechanism for the story to give a baddie.
Yeah.
But it just didn't make a huge amount of sense.
If you were going to go
level.
Yeah, if you were going to go into another regeneration, you could say it's just a little convenient that they need this very special part, and then there's just suddenly this abandoned version of Deep Space Nine, a hop, skip, and a jump away that we can just go go take all the parts we need from.
Yeah, whereas you kind of pivot that against the counterinsurgency program, which is brilliant.
Yes,
the booby trap of the station doesn't recognize your command codes, thinks you've switched sides. Brilliant, because that is all technology and digital, but it's the mistreatment of its own citizens that is the regeneration for me here.
I think that shows the danger of when people blindly start to trust and become obsessed with their nation state, right? And I think it's a bit of an allegory for the danger of that, where you're willing to give up everything for your country. I think you need to ask why you're being asked to do that before you just blindly go and do that. So why am I being asked to freeze myself? Why am I being asked to sacrifice my life for would my commanding officers do the same? Probably not.
Yeah, maybe if they explored it, but like the mail on Voyager, where they would say if you were a core laborer that you were pretty much guaranteed to die on an export mission, but all of your family were basically made millionaires because you put yourself forward for that mission. Maybe if there was something similar, like there was a financial, because Cardassians are so family focused that everything's about family for them. That would have softened it for me, and I would have bought it.
Yeah. If anyone wants to watch something that involves people going into stasis and really hilarious storylines happening afterwards, go check out Idiocracy. Came out 26 some odd years ago. Was meant to be a mockumentary spoof, and it has oddly started to become fact. So anyway, check out Idiocracy. It's great, and it's more about people being put in stasis chambers. I think my regeneration for this is it's hard to watch people die. I mean, it's a very weird type of media where we consume such tragic and harsh things, and we're like, I'm just going to have a glass of wine and some popcorn and watch all these people die. And I don't know what it is, but sometimes it just hits differently. And this one does. And I think it's when they talk about the one guy having a wife that was left over. And she's left to deal with the trauma of it. Because again, I being an empath and always picking up emotions of people around me, I'm like, oh my gosh, he had a family. He had a life outside of this role. And now she's left to rebuild without him. And just it can have a bit of an emotional impact and toll on me. So sometimes these harder ones need to be followed up with, I'm going to go watch Data's Day or Cupid or something light to cheer me up.
Yeah, this is like one of those ideas where it's like you're bringing a different genre into our genre. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so like if you're basically watching the horror flick where everybody dies and one or two people walk away, you know what you're getting into. But when you're putting that in your Star Trek world, you're like, oh, I don't know if I like this or not. So
yeah,
at least we don't have that every week.
Yes.
No, it's true. DS9 though does get super heavy and super. What's the one I'm on right now that I just it takes me so long to get through the ship, or it's the one where they crash on the planet and the vortex keep
Starship
bombing
Down or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Rocks and Shoals. It could be I always get the ship and Rocks and Shoals mixed up. Is it the one where the changeling is in the ship and it's injured? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the ship.
The ship. Okay, so that one is so, because Buddy is slowly dying. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm always like, what would I be like in that situation? And you're thinking about your loved ones, you're thinking about your life, and I'm like, I can't watch this episode. This is too hard. It's taking an emotional toll on me. And then people say, oh, it's just fake. I'm like, yeah, but this stuff happens in real life. It's happening as we speak in other parts of the world. And that's just, anyway, I'm going to get myself all emotional.
Before I will cheer you up with that episode. So you know the Benzite, who's the runabout captain, who, when the runabout gets shot down, Ensign Hoyer, that character is played by Lauren, one of the augments, the Jackpack, the randy one who can't stand up.
Oh!
It's the same actress.
That's funny. That's funny. Those episodes are so cringy. I'm like, girl, why are you just splayed out on a chaise? Stand up.
So there you go. That'll cheer you up now.
More humorous. Let's dive into some trivia. There were some interesting facts about this one. So, the fact that Empok Nor is physically identical to DS9 allowed the show to save money on sets by shooting just on the regular DS9 set, obviously with lower lighting and certain modifications. But we love a crafty queen, and so, reduce, reuse, recycle.
It's giving Yamato.
It is.
Okay, the new Type 3 compression phaser rifles designed for the movie Star Trek First Contact in 1996 made its only appearance on Deep Space Nine in this episode. An older model of the compression phaser rifle is used in Star Trek Voyager 1995, and this version is seen in later seasons. I love that. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was doing my rewatch and you knitting Voyager and DS9 together and we had First Contact. I always remember this episode of being, there's things from First Contact in this. We've got the EV suits and the phaser rifles. Ooh, exciting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think we were just talking a week or two ago. It was one of the few times you saw an EV suit in DS9. Let's see here. In a 2021 Screen Rant, they ranked this episode as the 7th scariest Star Trek episode ever, remarking that Empok Nor is one of the most unsettling episodes of all time. And it goes right with what you're saying there, Kristin, too.
Yeah.
Unsettling is a great description.
Yeah. Where you leave and you finish watching, you're just like, oh, I gotta shake this off. I gotta bring back. Yeah. Cheer up the mentals somehow. This episode marked the first appearance of an environmental suit in a Star Trek episode since Whom Gods Destroy in 1969. What? I know.
In an episode?
So though environmental suits of various designs have been seen in Star Trek films, they were not seen in episodes. So very different. So listeners, if this trivia is incorrect, if you can prove it wrong, please drop the name of the episode.
They had them a lot in Voyager, but this is during season 3 of Voyager, and it was season 4 onwards that they really got them out of the closet. Well, and obviously Enterprise had them every 5 minutes. But I don't think they were in TNG.
No,
well, they're actually saying that they were designed for First Contact, so they probably had suits after that, and they're like, okay, we'll use these.
We'll use them. So yes, this one was specifically designed for First Contact, the one that Garak wore, and then, of course, kept going in Voyager. But from 1969 until when this episode came out, apparently there were no environmental suits. Oh,
technicality, but they were in the movies.
Yes.
So obviously, it's right in that it's not been in an episode, but they were in the motion picture.
But they were in the movies. Yes. So that's the differentiation. Is we're not talking excluding movies, just in series. they went a good 30 years between being seen on the series.
I love that.
Yes.
That surprised me. That's one of those stats that makes me think, because I want to correct it, but no, it is right. Okay, so this is the first appearance of Kathy DeBuono as Impella, one of Quark's Davo girls. She's seen standing by the Davo table as Quark attempts to see Kira, Dax, and Worf in the trailer. Kathy also appeared as the Breen prisoner in In Purgatory's Shadow and Inferno's Light, Never Turn Your Back on a Breen. And in full Klingon in Blaze of Glory in 1997 and in The Cards. Yes, I do remember hearing that she was a regular stand-in on, I think she might have been Terry Farrell's body double as well.
Oh, is she another stunt person that we should maybe review? I do love a good stunt woman.
This episode was one of the first written by Brian Fuller, who would go on to write dozens more episodes in the Star Trek franchise.
Yes, so he got his start on a real good episode, and then of course, as we mentioned, or as Kelvin brought up, I do love that this has a callback in Rocks and Shoals later with the he would never turn his back on Garak ever again. So that's a great little piece of continuation trivia. So final thoughts. So who did it better? Previous episodes covered in the Fear Factor series include Strange New Worlds, All Those Who Wander, Voyager, The Thaw, Discovery, Context is for Kings, Prodigy, Dreamcatcher, or Voyager, The Haunting of Deck 12, and now DS9's Empok Nor. Kelvin, who did it best?
This is quite easy for me because horror or thriller or anything that sets my pulse racing like this is not my genre. I don't find it enjoyable TV. So considering most of the ones in that list, some of them I actually find funny. Strange New Worlds, All Those That Wander is an episode I struggle to rewatch because I find it so scary. So that to me is who did it best. Okay. Strange New Worlds, All Those Who Wander. No, big hard no for the Gornegs. Thank you very much.
Christos, how about yourself?
Kelvin, we are such kindred sisters. I would probably say the same thing for the exact same reasons. I don't like horror very much. I certainly don't want it in my Star Trek. And that, like this one, I love this episode that we just watched, Empok Nor. But I'm not really scared in this episode. I just kind of get what's going on. Context for Kings is a close second because it's pretty, once again, we're on an alternate ship. There's a lot of similarities with Empok Nor and Context is for King, right? The alternate Discovery, that's abandoned and got some, threats in it and whatnot. And there's dead things and no light and flashing and so we could call Context for King a little bit of a ripoff of Empok Nor. Sorry. I'm gonna go with All Those Who Wander because you're right. It's hard one for me to rewatch for the exact same reasons. I don't like to be scared, and that one gets me a little bit anxiety.
What about you, Kristin?
So one of my favorite movie franchises of all time will be the Alien franchise. And so I love All Those Who Wander because the idea of the Gorn and the Gorn eggs and everything just always brings me back to sort of that alien. And essentially it was a bunch of people not listening to the lady. And so she's the only one who survived with her cat. And I was like, I feel that in my soul. So in terms of fear and like sticking sort of with the horror trope, I will definitely go follow suit with you all and say All Those Who Wander. But in terms of pure just like sitting in my gut being unsettling, Empok Nor. So I guess it depends on what kind of vibe I'm looking for. But Kelvin, I totally agree with you. The Thaw and The Haunting of Deck 12 are funny. Yeah. Like they are so campy.
Camp.
Yeah. I was like, The Thaw is supposed to be scary. No. There's nothing scary about that. Well, except some people have real fears of clowns.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. But the Haunting of Deck 12, no.
Yeah.
No.
Kristin, if you did not pick this episode, I would have been disappointed with you. So there you go.
Yeah. I'm torn. I'm very much, usually I'm able to, I have my set one, but this one, I guess it depends on how I'm approaching my decision here. So
I'm so surprised we've not done Genesis yet in this series.
Well, for next season. Or just later this season. I don't even know when the season ends. We just keep showing up every Sunday to film.
We keep moving.
Calling all audiophiles and Trekkies. Prepare to boldly go where no podcast listener has gone before with the diverse soundscapes of BQN. We're not just a network, we're a universe of exploration, entertainment, and deep dives into the topics you love. Here's your star map to the sonic adventures awaiting you. Charting the Star Trek cosmos, we have all good things. Embark on a comprehensive journey through the entire Star Trek universe with insightful crew of Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. From classic to current, they cover it all. Galaxy Class, Engage. Stephen and Stefan pilots this deep space mission, meticulously covering all aspects of Star Trek The Next Generation. Infinite Diversity. Stay current with the newest Star Trek frontiers alongside Chrissy and Thad. Union Federation. Whether your allegiances lies with Starfleet or the Planetary Union, Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley offer a unified front discussing both current Star Trek and the truly Trek at heart, the Orville. Crack open that book with Peter and the Trek Book Club podcast. Delve into the rich tapestry of Star Trek's beta canon. What's the T-Bab? Christos spills the latest Trek news and fandom insights with an essential LGBTQIA+ perspective, complete with engaging guest interviews. Our visual voyages that you can find on YouTube, as well as a podcast, are Treksperts quiz. Think you're a Starfleet Academy graduate? Test your knowledge with Davey and MC's challenging Star Trek quiz show. And the View Screen. Tune in live on Sundays for your dose of Trek-inspired talk show. Kelvin and Amy host new 8-week seasons each spring and fall. Beyond the final frontier, we have Bargain Bin Gamer. Davey and Mitch, your self-proclaimed gamer guides, lead you to digital treasures, unearthing and reviewing the most affordable video game gems. Cinema Z. Grab your metaphorical popcorn for Mark and Matt's cinematic deep dives, unearthing overlooked films that demand your attention. History with the Zalogans. In order to never repeat it, tune in as Chrissy and Jason deliver bite-sized snippets of historical events from around the globe. And transformational journeys. Lex Rosa explores what it means to embrace authenticity in the face of societal expectations. To unlock deeper levels of engagement, try our patron perks. The Hive Mind is where you can join our random script readings, live reaction shows, and roundtable discussions. And check out our back catalog of It's Green, a verdant cornucopia of topics offering diverse and engaging conversations, and Amy's Math Moments. Discover the subtle and not so subtle mathematical wonders woven into the fabric of Star Trek. You can stay connected to our ever-expanding galaxy of content by following at BQN Podcasts on Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, and Discord. We appreciate you choosing BQN to fill your auditory needs. Thank you for listening. Assimilate the audio.
So, Christos, what are we talking about next week?
Well, we are back into the land of TNG, which is good old comfort food for some of us, right? It's our first Contact series, and it is TNG's Homeward, which I believe is season 7. And it may remind you of a certain TNG movie.
Indeed.
Indeed.
We would love to hear what you thought of today's show, and there are many ways you can do this. You can join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. You can join our Discord server, or you can follow our BQN feed on Blue Sky to continue our discussion there. You can find all the links and the invite code in the show notes. You can also reach us at allgoodpod on Blue Sky. So please make sure you follow the network on Blue Sky and Instagram at BQN Podcasts. We've also partnered with our friends at the Fandom Podcast Network, where you can find us by searching the master feed. So, Kristin, where can people find you when you are not looking for a self-sealing stem bolt to plunge into an engineer?
You know, a self-sealing stem bolt is on my permanent want to thrift list. So I'm keeping my eye out for that.
I don't think I can even say that.
So far, no luck. You can find me on Instagram at kstrats and very active on Reddit under user Garak's Fan Club. And you know, I gotta give credit to the DS9 subreddit where there was a whole conversation about this episode, and that really helped to like circle me in on what I wanted to sort of talk about with this episode today. So holla out to Reddit. Christos, where can people find you when you're not fighting off intruders to protect your home and your beautiful new couch that matches your Star Trek picture? Gorgeous.
I get it. You're looking after your collective. I love the word being an end game. When she's talking to Janeway, that's what you just reminded me of. Sorry, my brain is wired for Star Trek people, I guess. Oh, you want the good of your collective. You can find me on Instagram probably the most at either Greek Geek SD or at What's the Tea Bev. Also, same handles on Blue Sky. You can find me in the BQN Discord server or over in the Facebook BQN Collective. It's getting to the point where I can't even remember the name of that. So you can tell me how much time I'm spending over there. So maybe Instagram, guys. Kelvin, where can people find you when you're not murdering people and just blaming it on psychotropic drugs?
Just say no, kids. When I am not doing that, you can find me on most of the socials at Kelvin's Timeline, or I do like to be in the BQN Collective Facebook group. So I am here for all of your posts, comments, memes. I will be liking them, so please keep them coming. It's how I best like to interact with you guys.
If you'd like to help us keep all our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can join our Let's Fly reaction show, script readings, and enjoy our special patron-only shows of It's Green and Amy's Math Moments, as well as having exclusive access to our video version of All Good Things. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details and watch your messages.
Now, if becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support the show by sharing our posts on social media, talking about it with your friends, or hitting the like and subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leaving us a 5-star rating and a written review, because that'll help others to find the show.
At this time, we would like to thank our very own associate producers, Mahedran Radhakrishnan and JJ Seastrom. A special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music. And I guess there's a little special shout out to JJ. It was his birthday yesterday at the time
It
of recording.
was. Oh, happy birthday, JJ.
I'm so sorry you share your birthday with somebody else, but you know, it's JJ's birthday. Thank you for listening.
We hope you'll join us as we search out
all good things.